All right, guys. So once again, we got to talk about one of the most embarrassing things that is going on in our country, which is how delusional people have become. The fact that we are headed towards Looney Tunes world when it comes to simple questions about biology. Okay, and today we got to talk about a woman who, or presumably a woman, really, by the name of Miss Fatima Coss Graves, who happens to be the president of the Women's National Law Center, whom went into word salad mode when confronted in Congress about what is a woman or defining a woman. Okay, and you would think that she'll be able to do this pretty easily since she's the president of the Women's Law Center, and also since she was so passionate about women's rights when it came to the nomination of Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court.
I'm Fatima Coss Graves, and I'm President and CEO of the National Women's Law Center.
And why are you here today?
I'm here today because we deserve a Supreme Court that will protect all of our rights. That's especially true for what is at stake in this nomination with Judge Brett Kavanaugh to the United States Supreme Court. We know that there is so much at stake, whether we're talking about access to reproductive health care or the ability to access health care more broadly, whether we're talking about the ability to work with safety and dignity, whether we're talking about voting rights, LGBTQ rights, all of the things that make such a difference to people's lives are all bound up in a Supreme Court nomination.
She also seems to be very passionate about a woman's reproductive rights as well, so much so that she basically melted down in Congress doing a debate over the issue.
I take it with all those words, you do agree with basically murdering a child after they're born. Miss Graves, could you answer that? Would you just yes or no?
I have to say, Congressman, how you just characterize the representative statement is extremely inflammatory and the type of thing that it's dangerous.
And what
you guys have been talking today about the threats against crisis pregnancy centers, which I assume are serious and are terrible. The threats that people who work on abortion access take every single day.
I'm assuming that you're for infanticide. I would also say that her language that health.
Madam Chair,
Gentleman's time.
Congressman asked a question.
He's reclaiming his time.
Yeah, so she is passionate about women's rights. So passionate about women's rights that she's been fighting for women when it comes to opposing Brett Kavanaugh's nomination because he got accused of Me Too, right? And fighting for a woman's reproductive rights. And you would think because she's fighting so hard for these rights that at the very least she would be able to define whose rights she's fighting for. But apparently she can't.
Okay, earlier this year, our newest Supreme Court Justice, Ketanji Brown Jackson, was asked what a woman is, and she had a difficult time defining that. Since you are the president of the National Women's Law Center, I was hoping that you could define what a woman is for us in this committee hearing.
Well, as the president of the National Women's Law Center, you can imagine I say woman a lot in my day job.
Okay, so I'm just asking for the definition.
So what I'll tell you is I am a woman. That's how I identify.
Okay.
But I wonder, however, if in part the reason that you're asking a question is that you're trying to suggest that people who
I am
don't
simply asking the
identify as
question,
women
and I
can't
simply
be
want an
pregnant.
answer.
And so I think it's actually really important to be very clear here that there are people who identify as non-binary. I think about 5% of young people.
We're not going to go there. I was hoping maybe you would. I was hoping that maybe you would say something that maybe we learned in high school biology that has to do with X and Y chromosomes, but which define male and female. But I guess we're not going to get there.
Well, I don't think that's the legal question.
I have another question for you. I have another question for you. I saw that in your annual report, you previously received money from groups like Planned Parenthood Action Fund. Are you still receiving funding from Planned Parent Action Fund or any other Planned Parenthood affiliate?
Well, I certainly support the leadership and work of Planned Parenthood. The work they're doing right now is hero work. We don't have any grants.
Are you receiving money from them or not?
We don't have grants from Planned Parenthood. but I support the work they do, around this country every
Madam
day.
Chair, I would ask for unanimous
over.
consent to submit for the record the annual report of the NWLC, which states a contribution from Planned Parenthood Action Fund.
Without objection, and the gentleman's time has expired.
I thought I
The
had 16
gentlewoman from
seconds.
Illinois, Ms. Kelly, is now recognized.
Yeah, so you would think that a woman, okay, and I have to use that loosely because we don't know what a woman is, right? But a self-identified woman who is the head of the National Women's Law Center will be able to define what a woman is, okay? Especially considering how their whole organization revolves around defending women, okay? And their mission statement says, quote, "We are advocates, experts, and lawyers who fight for gender justice, taking on issues that are central to the lives of women and girls. We drive change in the courts, in public policy, and in our society, especially for women of color, LGBTQ people, and low-income women and families." So how in the world can you fulfill that mission if you can't define what a woman is, right? If you can't define what a woman is, then how do you know who to fight for, right? Because at that point, if you don't know who to fight for, you might as well change the name of your organization from the National Women's Law Center to the National I'm Not a Biologist, therefore I can't really tell you or define who I'm trying to fight for Law Center, right? That's what you should change your name to, okay? Because that's what it sounds like to me, since you can't define what a woman is. Again, this is absolutely ridiculous, man. I hate how these people play mental gymnastics in these games when asked this very simple question. And that's why I hope they keep getting asked this question, because it reveals the lunacy of the people that are running some major and very important institutions in this country, right? Again, how in the world can you run a National Women's Law Center if you can't define what a woman is? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And what also annoys me is the answers that a lot of these people are starting to put out here now, okay, in response to being asked this question, because they know they're going to get asked this question, right? So what they're starting to say now, guys, is, well, you're asking me this question because you're a bigot, right? Which is basically what this woman tried to allude to. She says, you know, I have a problem with the reason for why you're asking me this question. I think you're asking me this question just so that you can, you know, score political points or, you know, whatever. And he probably is. I mean, let's be honest. They are asking the question to try to, you know, go viral and stuff like that. It's an easy way to do it. But the reason why it's easy is because you guys are making it easy, right? You're making it easy because you refuse to define what a woman is, okay? So again, this woman goes into this answer or non-answer, which she's talking about how 5% of young people identify as non-binary, and you're trying to imply that, you know, these people, you know, men can't get pregnant or whatever. And it's just like, bruh, stop. I'm tired of it, bruh. I'm tired of the games. You have to be able to define what a woman is if we're going to come to the table and have a conversation about women's rights, right? If we're going to talk about the right of women, we have to define what a woman is first, right? We can't define what a woman is, then how can we have a conversation about women's rights? How can we have a conversation about women's reproductive health care if apparently biological men can be real women, right? And biological men can't get pregnant. We know that for a fact. Again, it makes the conversation a lot more confusing, right? I mean, how do we even know that the woman that's running the National Women's Law Center is actually a woman, right? She says she identifies as a woman. I wonder, how does she know that she's a woman, right? What characteristics about herself does she has to convince her that she's a woman, since she can't really define what a woman is, right? Do we really know she's a woman? Okay, how do we know, right? Again, you see how silly this conversation can get, and I wish these people would just give it up, right? Who cares if you get called transphobic? Who cares? Let's adhere to biology. Let's adhere to reality so that we can spend these congressional hearings not asking silly questions like this and having these silly conversations that unfortunately must be had, because, again, I don't think we can have a conversation about this stuff unless we adhere to reality and we all agree on some basic premises of reality. But I'm just saying, cut the games, man. Cut the games. Okay? Who cares if you get called transphobic? So what? We're trying to pass legislation. We're not trying to play games here. Okay? We're spending taxpayer dollars on this stuff. Okay? And we can't be spending taxpayer dollars on these games that you guys are playing with society because you don't want to be labeled transphobic and all that. I don't want to hear all that. So, again, Democrats, liberals, leftists, they just continue to embarrass themselves on a daily basis, man. They really do. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.